Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to part 2. So in the game, I just got into Pittsburgh. I think I played about 2 hours before I got to this part, and again, this feels like a natural, next chapter. But yeah, this felt like a good place to stop and reflect on, how the last couple hours went in the game. And I guess you could say, it was a little more laid back than the first few hours. I didn't come across too many times with the zombies that were as difficult as a few of those moments were in the first few hours, and in the state house and all that, or the first few times I interacted with the clickers. This was more exploration. This was a lot of traversing through the wilderness as you step into this part of town. I think Lincoln, you and Ellie, Joel and Ellie are walking through, trying to get to his friend Bill's place so they can get a car, hopefully. And on your way there, of course there are still zombies on the way, and part of the reason why it's not as difficult at the start, why it's not as difficult now, is because, well, now you have better items, you have upgrades, knowledge of what to do. As you get further into the game, as you get further into any game really, you get better, and so it's getting us a little bit easier. It's not super easy, and with Joel and Ellie through this part, they're talking a little bit more. They don't have they didn't have a ton of interaction. There was still enough stuff going on that was distracting, so didn't feel like there was a huge progression in the story of it. This was more of like an item, upgrade based part of the game, and also just checking out some of the new environment that you're in now. Lincoln is definitely a little bit different than when you started out in Boston. I like that they changed environment really quickly, that you didn't really have to you never got comfortable, or you didn't get used to where you started out in the game. It's always sort of moving, and it never felt stale. So you're now in this new place, and as I got to the end, as I got to Pittsburgh, I'm already in a different place. So I love that part of the game so far, that it's constantly moving. It's really fast paced, and but it's not forced. It doesn't feel forced at all. It's just that's where the characters are going. It's like there's a really, really nice pace to it. I like that a lot. And as for little things like upgrading, I mean, I'm sure you know this by now, but it's pretty simple. You just find things while you check empty buildings, or whenever you're at a place in the story where it gives you a chance to just take a little bit of a break. There's stuff there to use. You use them to upgrade items. You use them to upgrade your skills, stuff like that. And it's very simple. It's not much of a learning curve at all. The weapons that you have is also pretty cool, actually. I didn't realize how many weapons you could have on you at once. For a while there, I thought my crossbow had disappeared, and I was kind of disappointed because I was just getting used to it. But then I noticed you can, just like with your pistols, with your guns and all that, you can switch it. You just hold it, and you kind of keep all of your stuff with you. Where this did get the most serious as I started progressing through this part of the game was when Joel got caught in the trap. The clickers are still giving me a problem, not necessarily in knowing how to beat them. It's just man, the gun it takes a long time to kill him with a gun, and usually the one thing I am having a problem with or trying to figure out is the melee weapons. It gives you the option to upgrade them, but they break really easily. They break really fast, so I'm not sure if there's a way to fix them, repair them, because what's the point of upgrading them if they're just gonna break a few, the first chance you get. So, I mean, I'm thinking I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not realizing how to repair it or something like that. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it literally is just you find one, you upgrade it for a one-time use, and that's it. You try to find another one and do the same thing. So I'll keep an eye out for that and see if I figure something else out. And of course, I did get out of that trap because of Bill. He is the new character from this part. He enters the story here, sort of helps you out, but doesn't seem like the most trustworthy guy. Joel's kind of giving that idea that he's not the most amazing human being. He wasn't the most interesting person in the world or anything. I don't know if he'll ever come back in the story. I don't know if it was just a small little appearance from him, but it was cool to see somebody new. Him and Ellie certainly didn't get along too well, but that was more funny than anything. That was a nice little interact. Every time they had an interaction together, that was pretty funny. And yeah, so that was it was cool to see him. I'm guessing there'll be characters like him, if not him again, throughout the game that come in just for a few segments here and there, a few scenes here and there, because I would imagine it can't just be Joel and Ellie the entire time. But if it is, I wouldn't mind that either. I do like Joel and Ellie's, connection they have so far. You can tell he immediately cares about her, even if he doesn't want to, admit it or talk about that. They do seem to have a connection that's going to build over time, and they'll, I'm sure, get really close through this like horrific stuff going on. And man, growing up in this, I can't even imagine what Ellie's been through, and especially being someone that everyone's going to be going after once they figure out, that she's immune to this. It's just, that is would not be envious of that. Another thing I like with the combat too is that the zombies will attack Bill and Ellie and whoever's with you. I'm imagining they can die. I think one time I let it go too far. I didn't save them in time, so they died and I had to start over. But it does give you enough time. They don't like get seriously injured really quickly, so it does give you some time, which that's a nice aspect where it's just like they're not just completely almost invisible, or not invisible, but just sort of video game immune, where they're there but nothing bad can happen to them. They feel like actual people. They feel like real characters because they can get hurt just like you can, and you got to watch out for them. And I guess the one really cool setting here that sort of changed up the pace again was the high school, Lincoln High School. That's always a cool place to be, a high school, or I guess like a hospital in any kind of zombie apocalypse, movie or whatever. You're going to end up in a high school or a hospital at some point. I think that's just the parameters of it. That's part of the rules of zombie lore. And of course here it's no different. There's a bunch of them hanging out in the school. Maybe, zombies just miss the high school days, something like that. I mean, they do seem to go there a lot. It's also a pretty big building, and there's a lot of them, so I would imagine it's mostly because of how common they are. And of course, with the high school came, I don't know if you'd call it a boss, maybe, just a new zombie, like the introduction to the clicker. Now we have the bloater. And this is one ugly zombie, I'll tell you that. It looks like something that's been under the ocean for years and it just finally got out. And that is one disgusting zombie. And at the end of this, we finally did come across the car. We were able to find the battery. We had to go through some zombies to finally get it to run. And we got through the last, few waves of zombies to finally get the truck to go down the road and get it turned on. And the truck is alive. And they're on their way. They took off. I guess they were just going, anywhere that they could get to. I'm not sure. Oh, they were. He's taking Ellie to the. Actually, I don't even remember. Someone with the fireflies, I imagine, but I don't know where they're located exactly. But yeah, they took off on the road and they got as far as they could, which in this case was to Pittsburgh. And unfortunately, I Am Legend style, all the cars were, stockpiled and just all crammed on the highway. So he was forced to take off. Joel was forced to take off into the city, get off the highway. And of course, that can never go well. And that's exactly what happened. They took the exit down into the city, and they were basically attacked immediately. There was some people on the street, trying to trick them into helping them out, and they tried to get away, but then they get hit by another truck, and it might have even been an 18-wheeler. I'm not sure. They crash right into a convenience store, and boom, off to the races they go. If the zombies weren't enough, now you got to go against the humans, which again is a classic zombie apocalypse storyline. The zombies are of course a threat, but the biggest threat is never the zombies. The biggest threat is always ourselves, and I'm sure they're only going to be a more and more of a problem going forward. I can tell this game is probably going to continue to be unpredictable with its pace and with its storytelling and progression through wherever Joel and Ellie are going to, and just go from one moment to the next. No time to really think about where you've been or where you're going. You got to react in the moment and just keep pushing forward. So as much as I would love to try to predict what's going to come next, I just have no clue, and I'm glad that I don't. So yeah, I'm going to start up this next part now, see where that takes me, and I'll be back to talk about that. I can't imagine I'm anywhere close to finishing the game at this point, so not sure how many parts this will be, but yeah, so I hope you'll come back for that. Thank you so much for watching, and see you later.